It has been approximately 217 days since we last had pro football on our screens. But you guys, the wait is officially over and the beautiful game is back. Will the favorites have us cashing in week one, or are the dog days of summer bleeding into September? We're getting into all of it. Chalk and Chat starts right now.
From Las Vegas, this is Chalk and Chat, sponsored by Superbook and Westgate Las Vegas.
Welcome into Chalk and Chat. I'm Mariah Janos, getting you set for week one of the pro football season, but I can't do it without a little help from my friends. So let's start with this one. He's a sports betting Hall of Famer. That's right. And the face of the Superbook Westgate Las Vegas, Mr. Jay Kornegay, who is here to give us some perspective from the sportsbook side of things. Jay, it's so good to see you.
Oh, that was incredible. Did you write that?
Yes, I did.
Well,
you know, I wiki searched you, and that's what came up, so that's what we're rolling
not
with.
Bad. Okay.
Yeah. And right next to him, he's back for round two. Somehow security let this menace back into the building. It is the Fat Jack in all of his glory.
It was close. We almost had to do it outside, or I was out there banging around it like an orangutan at the zoo. It was not pretty to start.
Yeah, he
but
was not thrilled.
pro football's back. Exciting time of year. We're ready to go.
Yeah, no, I am so ready, you guys. And coming up on today's show, we're getting into the approach to early season betting, throw out those preseason scores, because this is the real deal. Plus, the Kings of the North are going to war right out the gate, but what side of these NFC North showdowns do the pros like? And how well do you know Jay Kornegay? Well, you're going to get very familiar with this man through the next 30 minutes as he answers all of our questions about sportsbook operations during the football season. All right, guys. Week one is officially here.
An incredible opportunity, by the way. We get Jay to get the other side. I mean, he knows so many things. We could spend a half hour just asking questions.
We're going to hear from the man that gets yelled at by the Jacks of the world.
That's exactly right.
Weekly.
When I start shaking the chairs
So
over
true.
there with intentional safeties late and blaming it on you, we know where to go, right?
Why I
Exactly.
watch my back when I leave the book every time.
Probably a
You never
good
know.
idea.
You have to, because Jack's hiding in the shadows, ready to jump you. But yeah, let's get on to week one before everyone starts compiling, their 10-leg parlays and they're putting it all on Philly to go back to back. What should they keep in mind before just throwing your rent money on a specific team?
Well, it's just crazy because week one is just so unpredictable. I mean, it's the 1 week that we have really zero information. We don't know exactly how these new players are going to do, how these new coaches, the new schemes that they're going to do. So my advice for those out there, it's a long football season. All right, tread lightly, stay within your means, and certainly don't chase. If you start having a rough morning, don't bet more on the afternoon or even the evening game. It's tough. And so tread lightly, start, just digesting all this information that you're seeing, the play on the field, and then go from there. But tread lightly.
Yeah. And what do you want?
That was supposed to be me, by the way. I mean, we're supposed to come to me.
Okay.
I'm Teddy
This
this
is
week.
unscripted.
Jay's supposed to be the other
We
side.
can do whatever we want.
Unbelievable. I'm
There's
going to
no
rewrite the
rules.
entire thing.
Here we go.
Yeah, absolutely. Number one is parity, right?
Yeah.
It's parity in the league. I mean, there's so much. You're never as bad or as good as you would appear, and so you can't overreact to that. In fact, if you had just blind bet underdogs in the first week of the season over the last 20 years, you would have won money every single year except one. So that's a good place to start, I think, for a guy that's out there. It's not the best team, especially in week one, because there is so much parity. So be very, very careful, not only limiting what you're betting, but also understanding that this is a league that by design is about having everybody be pretty close. And that's the house's best friend, is the guy walking up who doesn't know anything about the number, can't apply that, but he's absolutely going to know that Philadelphia should beat Dallas. So got to be real, real careful with putting that first, that the underdogs are going to take you a lot further, at least early in the season.
That's if you bet every underdog. The stat like that is, you're saying if you bet every underdog in week one, you would be
Blind bet it.
Right.
See, I thought historically favorites were winning in week one, and that.
You would think that. They do win, but they don't cover in week one.
Gotcha.
Are you questioning my math? I mean, oh my gosh. I mean, we just started. You're questioning my math.
Questionable.
Listen, we've got Google over here. We'll figure it out. Chat GBT it up over
It
here.
just makes me think about Teddy talking last week about, go with the good teams,
thought about
right?
that. I
So
think
is
that's
that
wrong.
not simple? So Teddy's not here, so all of a sudden we're negating everything that Teddy has ever said.
No, not
Okay.
negating. I'm just telling you the numbers are if you would blind bet dogs plus the points, and it gets even more specific when you're talking about divisional dogs. So we'll talk about that in segment 2. But when you talk about divisional dogs and divisional home dogs, you really need to lean toward the points, the familiarity, and the fact that the balance in the league becomes an important part of it.
I think it's really difficult for the general bettor out there to bet against the perceived better team.
Yeah.
So when they
Fair.
look at a game of, let's say, Kansas City and let's say L.A., most people know, Kansas City is a better team. It's really difficult for them. But those points right there, equalize everything. So when you're getting that +3, +3.5, that is something you really got to warm up to if you're a novice bettor, because it's so easy just to bet the favorites.
All right, well, that is a great segue to where we are headed. We're just getting started here on Chalk and Chat. Coming up, 4 NFC North teams, only 2 will start out 1-0, but which 2 will it be? We're discussing it next.
You're watching Chalk and Chat, sponsored by Superbook in Westgate, Las Vegas.
We are here at the Superbook at the Westgate, Las Vegas, and we're going to ask some of these patrons what their goals are for this upcoming season, and if they got any hot takes. Let's go check it out. Any goals for this football season?
No, just try to stay disciplined.
Any bold predictions for this season?
Mostly college, but pros, I like Tennessee over 6.5 wins.
Are you a believer in Cam Ward in Tennessee?
Absolutely, in Cam Ward, yes.
Any goals for this coming season?
Just to have fun. Sometimes the prop bets are pretty good. I like Cincinnati to make the playoffs.
What is your goal for this upcoming season?
It's pretty simple. It's kind of to stay ahead of the public and go for the look-ahead lines.
You can tell he works here. Bold predictions for this season you got for me?
I'm a simple man. I'm just going to cheer for San Francisco and hope for the best.
Any goals to this season, betting this pro football season?
Just to win. That's my goal, pretty much, all the time.
Good luck with that. I hope you win. You're a math guy. What is your approach when you're looking at these numbers, making your picks every week? This was the moment I immediately regret asking this question.
Well, I do a series of calculations from which I created a little bit more than 60 mathematical models. Category also is specific to the opening line. It is the only mathematical since 1999 into all my 70 hours a week it takes. So I'm that serious about it.
Oh my goodness gracious. Casey, your goals for betting this pro football season?
One goal, main focus is just to win money. Have a positive betting season. Be in the green.
Will you ever slam on the brakes?
No, full gas. Whole season.
Okay. Any bold predictions, hot takes? I know you got some.
I think that Las Vegas will win their first playoff game since January of 2003. So that'll make it like 23 years, maybe 2 playoff games. No championship, we're not going to get crazy, but a playoff win.
Kid's from New Jersey and is the biggest Vegas fan you will ever meet. It's wild. We don't really know how it happened. So mixed reviews, some really long, drawn-out answers, but overall, the general theme here is to just win. Best of luck to all of these guys, and best of luck to you guys at home. All right, quite the crowd at the Superbook on a Wednesday afternoon. You never know what you're gonna get there.
I want more of the math guy.
We should bring him in.
Put that on YouTube or something.
That
We
was
have to have an hour show.
wild. I was excited when he said he was a numbers guy. I didn't need to go that into the weeds because he lost me pretty quick. But good for him. To each their own. But let's talk some games because we got some good matchups in week 1, especially in the NFC North. So that's what we're looking at. And it starts with that blockbuster trade heard around the world. Dallas sending Micah Parsons to Green Bay. I want to start with Jay. Sorry, Jack. I know. But
2 times in a row.
We've talked a lot about how when there's major moves like a quarterback or a major wide receiver, that line's going to move. Edge rusher, you don't typically think that's going to impact the line too much, but someone of Micah Parsons' status, how did that impact things?
Well, yeah, you're exactly right. Usually the quarterbacks have a big influence on the line, and there'll be major adjustments pending, what they went from and what they're getting. Parsons is a outstanding player. We all know that. It's an adjustment that can be anywhere from a half point to a point with him. And everybody, even in our back room, all the experts that we have in the back room have different opinions on this. But in my eyes, it's a slight adjustment because it's going to be, I think his impact will come later, after he gets used to his new teammates, the scheme, conditioning, all that, will have a bigger impact, I think, 3 or 4 weeks from now than week 1.
All right.
So across the board of all sports books, the line jumped the fence when he moved. So you've got Detroit as a favorite. They moved to an underdog based on that one trade, and then they went from about 22 or 23 to 1 down to about 18 to 1 to win the championship. So are you saying from a standpoint of the average player, are we getting value with Detroit because it moved too much, or what do you? People act like the sportsbooks don't have ESPN and don't have television sets, so they don't know what's going on. So when a guy walks up the window and says, "Hey, I think the Michael Parsons is going to do that," everybody knows that.
Yeah.
So the lines move based on the numbers coming in. So where's the value in something like that?
I look at that and say, well, they did give up Clark too, all right? So they get the 2 first-rounders, but they lose Clark. Okay, they get Parsons, great player again, but week 1 impact. I just think that's an over-adjustment, especially in week 1. It might suit 3 or 4 weeks from now. Maybe that makes sense. I think that it was an over-adjustment in futures for one defensive player to make that type of move in futures. I mean, that's a very tough division. I mean, there's still a lot of things that you got to factor in when you're talking about odds to win the championship. So I think it's overreaction, even though they're going to benefit later on in the year.
Do you what side do you like in this game?
I don't like Detroit overall this year. I think they back up. I don't think they made enough moves in the offseason, so I think there's some value there playing against them. But I'm with him. I think most of the time you're going to see these overreactions when these one players, because again, the general public forgets that they have TV sets and everybody knows, so they're walking up on these one ideas, which is going to move numbers away from creating value in the team that they're playing against.
All right, well, keeping it in the NFC North, Minnesota and Chicago. The last time these two teams played each other, Minnesota won by 16 points, but they're only favored by 1.5 right now. And I know Chicago really prioritized beefing up that O-line, getting that pass protection for Caleb Williams, but what are you making of this matchup?
Yeah, so I guess I'll start with this one, but the Chicago divisional dogs are very good in week 1 versus the numbers. So they're 23-7 against the spread since 2010. They're 10-2 against the spread since 2018. So you get these home dogs where they're real familiar with each other. That becomes a real trend. I like to look historically earlier in the year more than later. Obviously, you can't apply that. But right now, we're looking at all these changes. I think the values in some of these dogs. With that, Caleb Williams, what kind of quarterback is he? That becomes my biggest problem. He was like 24th or so in passer rating, at 87.8 passer rating last year. We don't know if this guy's going to be great or not. This isn't USC. So I think they're a wait-and-see team for me. But if you're going to play it, that's one of the stronger things in week 1 of these divisional dogs at home.
Yeah, I totally agree with Jack as far as divisional dogs. However, I kind of lean towards Minnesota in this spot just because you got JJ, all right, coming in. All right, that's going to be...
Who was kind of an unknown as well.
Right. But he had a whole year on the sidelines to take a look at that, so he's not a true rookie. As far as the other side, everybody's looking at Ben Johnson and what he's bringing into, Chicago. But there's a lot of moving parts there. It's week 1. Again, I think Ben Johnson and the Bears offense will thrive in the middle of the season, but week 1, I can see some struggles there. So it's something that I'm leaning towards Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah.
I love that guy, man crush, whatever. But the guy is a heck of a coach, and I think he's going to have JJ ready.
He's a good-looking dude.
He is. He is a lovely human being. All right, still to come on Chalk and Chat, it's Q&A with Jay. And yes, we are currently working on the jingle for it. Stay tuned for that. We're getting the book's perspective on the upcoming season when we return.
You're watching Chalk and Chat, sponsored by Superbook in Westgate, Las Vegas.
Hate when Jack doesn't shut up. All right, we have our esteemed colleague here from the Superbook at the Westgate, Jay Kornegay. He knows a thing or two about betting, and he was inducted into the Sports Betting Hall of Fame in 2024. No big deal. He just is awesome. So now it's time to pepper him with questions and see if we can squash any of those conspiracy theories that disgruntled bettors have against sportsbooks. So let's start with just basic questions. Why should we believe anything that you say? I know that the bettors will come in and maybe they're disgruntled, they're mad, they blame the book, and they like to put it on you when they lose, and you're the enemy all of a sudden.
Is that right?
Are you the other team? Is what we're asking.
Oh, really?
Are you hoping we crash and burn?
Jeez, of course not. Well, in the back room I might say something else, but out here, of course. I don't know, because I know my stuff.
Yeah, fair.
Maybe. After 38 years in the business, seen a lot of things, seen a lot of trends, learned a lot from colleagues, learned a lot from customers as well. So, we're in the entertainment business. We're out there trying to provide a consistent service, efficient, compliant. But the bottom line is we want to make sure these guys know what they're doing, okay, the best we can. They know what they're betting into, and that at the end of the day, they have fun with it, whether they win or lose.
Compliance is not a way I would describe it.
Sounds like I'm listening to Sean Payton say one game at a time.
That's what it is.
That was a lot of
coach here.
So you guys do not view it as an adversarial relationship because you're simply looking for numbers on both sides. Because a lot of people would say these people are trying to take my money and I don't want to give it to them.
Hey, no one's forcing you to bet.
No, you're right.
We're not. You don't have to bet. You can bet either side. So when they come in wanting to bet the favorites, it's like you don't have to bet the favorite. You can bet the underdog. We put a point spread up there, and that point spread is to make both teams attractable to the bettors. Now that happens about 5% of the time.
Yeah.
Most of the time, we're back there. We have one side or the other the book needs.
Right.
But we're back there it's just a flow. It's not something that we're cheering or pounding tables or breaking things.
Right.
We know in the long run, our book is going to be just fine.
Is there one particular mistake that you see bettors make quite often, or is there anything that you're sitting back there when a bet comes in, you're like, this is dumb?
Well, there's a couple of them. You see a lot of parlays, they get attracted to the low risk, high reward. I don't care if it's $10 trying to win $60 or $100 trying to win $10,000, whatever it is. You got to be really careful with those parlays. I'm not saying you don't have to. You don't bet any of them. I understand the low risk, high reward is very attractive to a lot of bettors. And then getting just caught up in a game. This is a lock, and this is the game I'm putting all my chips in. Don't get caught up in that, because there's plenty of other games, and anything can happen, especially in pro football. It's almost a coin toss every single game.
Yeah.
I'm saying it. Don't play parlays. I'll tell you from this side, they pay 2.5. Yeah, they pay 2.5 to 1. They should pay 6 to 1. So they should pay more. The other thing is Saturday morning should be valued the same as Sunday evening, right? You get guys chasing, and that's a big problem. That's how guys end up pricing themselves out of the entire sport or activity. Is that Saturday morning is like, I'm going to be disciplined, I'm going to be this, and they get an intentional safety or some type of bad beat, or worse, the other side, they get profit they didn't think they were going to get late, and all of a sudden with a few beers in them, they're juiced up and going to play more later and outside their means. That's what has you having to listen to your brother-in-law talk about turkey at Thanksgiving instead of being able to continue the entire year.
I've never done that.
Q&A with Jay has gone to Q&A with Jack. Really quick though, trap games.
Trap.
Trap.
Call
games.
it trap.
Oh, yeah.
Here's my question. So Alabama, let's look at Alabama and Florida State last week. So the number moves, opens 13.5, moves to 14. You're taking all sorts of action on Alabama. It was the most bet game on the board. Yet the number never really moved above that. Mm-hmm. People will say that's a trap game or some type of. Why wouldn't you move that line beyond that key number? What's the thought process in that?
Well, most of the time when they say trap game, it's usually after the fact.
Sure.
It was a trap game, or your friend will say, see, that was a trap game.
That's
why I stayed away. That's why I stayed away from it. But it's not just the amount of money, Jack. You know this. This is about the type of money.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Okay. So it's a combo at times when we have to. Sometimes we have a lot of bets on one side, and we have huge liability just because the public's all on one side, and we have to move it to try to balance it out a little bit. But then,
so you're taking buyback.
Yeah, you might not see a lot of money on a game. You might see only a couple bets, but it's from guys that we really respect.
Yep.
And we'll move it aggressively based off just a couple plays rather than thousands and thousands of bets.
So that tells me that they knew, like I had Florida State last week. You
That
thought
tells me-
Florida State was the right side because
Right. And Jack's upset about it, but we really need to move on or else we can't
we
get
can spend
back
an
back.
hour on this.
Finally on Chalk and Chat, it's the moment we've all been waiting for. We're making our week 1 picks because games are on this weekend. And we'll have you sprinting to the betting windows. Best bets are on the other side of the break. Stick with us.
You're watching Chalk and Chat, sponsored by Superbook in Westgate, Las Vegas.
All right, it's time for best bets. We'll get to this guy in just a minute. But, Jack, let's start with you. What do you got for us in week 1?
We missed Teddy. That's going to be great when we get there.
This is little Teddy, by the
So
way.
best bet this week, Carolina, Jacksonville over the total. Carolina goes over 13 of 17 last year. A revamped offensive line for Jacksonville. I think Bryce Young experienced and healthy, at least early in the season. Let's go over the total in that game.
Okay, and Jay, what about you?
Tampa Bay at Atlanta. Tampa Bay minus 2.5. I'm looking at them. I think these teams mirror each other. However, I think Tampa Bay's better in almost a little better in every aspect. So I'm going to go ahead and take Tampa Bay, lay the 2.5 on the road against Atlanta.
Baker Mayfield further away from Cleveland, which helps as well.
Well,
Yes,
there you go.
that always helps. And little Teddy's pick here. This is honorable mention for our Teddy Covers, who is not here today. He says, I hate him for this, Vegas +3 against New England. I'm not loving that, but he says he'll take Carroll over Vrabel. Rude. With extra time to prepare any day of the week, and catching a full field goal gives us close loss protection. Okay, little Teddy, whatever. I am riding with New England, obviously, but
Big Sunday for you.
I'm a homer. All right, so that'll do it for this episode of Chalk and Chat. We got Jack, we got Jay, we got Teddy. I'm Mariah Janos. Thank you so much. Have a great night.